Welcome everyone at another PHP Amersfoort meetup. It's October this time. As you can see, we put a lot of effort into redesigning the slides. I'm afraid to go to the next one, but this looks nice, right? Yeah. All right. Our location sponsor is surprisingly enough Enrise. So, applause. There's a lot of people here. I think it's probably the most people we've had this year. We'll do a count later. Our other sponsor, Servergrow, for sponsoring our website, which is completely up to date. We have Ingewikkeld, which pays for the meetup group. We have O'Reilly, which gives us the coupons for the books. And if you want a free book, you can ask us, and we can send one to you, or O'Reilly can send one to you. And you can do a short review. It's like 1 or 2 paragraphs, and you're done. And you'll have a free book, which is pretty awesome. I know some people here probably have already done it, and Jellik has, and no one else. Okay. But just shoot us an email, and we'll make sure you get your copy and everything. I also put JetBrains on here. I didn't used to do this, but they sponsor a PHP Storm license every month, which is pretty cool. So I think they definitely belong on this page. This month we have Damien Seguy.
Yeah, that's me.
All right. Was that for me or for him?
Yes, for him. For you.
Right.
Yeah, good job. Good job.
He's going to be talking about error messages in PHP. This is a join-in link. Please do give feedback after the talk. It's super important. Definitely. I think you're giving it at PHP World.
Yeah.
All right. He's giving it at PHP World. And is this the first time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a premiere here, so that's perfect.
New site.
So please do give feedback afterwards and enjoy his presentation. And now we switch.
Yeah. I have to do something, I guess.
Yes, it is sort of up to you.
Yeah. Many people to hear about error messages. You don't even have the technology yet, and you're still already wanting to hear about the errors? You must be crazy, right? You must be crazy. At least. Well, I'm the crazy one who actually goes into the code and actually check for the messages itself. So I guess we're made to meet up. There are beyond 2,000 error messages together tonight. That will be 12,000 words. If I read them all tonight, we are going to break the world record of the longest PHP meetup ever by 80 hours. And I speak fast. Yeah, and Denise is looking at me like, don't read that. So I have a plan B, yes, and we're going to see a few of them, a little more, but whatever. So we're going to focus on the different gotchas, the features, probably mostly the new messages. I try to get rid of the old one, so just brand new messages. Hopefully they're not going to backport them to PHP 5.6, but whatever. So, as we said, we're crazy enough to hear about the messages. I'm the one who can store 8,000 of those little buddies in my garage, and I have 2 toddlers. So I'm working at Exacat. This is why I actually end up digging into the code. I'm working on static analysis, so trying to review the code without reading it, actually, which of course is good because too many error messages. So that's it. I'm trying to become a Dutch people, so I have one sentence, I can pronounce it correctly, and I have my bonus card. I think I'm all set, or almost, right? Yeah, that's exactly it. You learned there too, right? Yeah, but that was a fun one, and we really had a good laugh at home with that. So I've kept it. Whatever. So last year it was fun. Now it's 1 year I've been using that, so I guess I have to change. But whatever, here is the evolution of the number of error messages in PHP. I do remember like 10 years ago doing a little website with all the messages and explanation next to it. So that was before PHP 5, less than 500, probably 400 messages. So it could fit in a database. Okay, not in the cloud, but on a database and be explained. Nowadays, it's probably not viable anymore. Anyway, so as you can see, there's a constant rise, and currently we're well beyond 2,000, which means that by distinct is the number of actual distinct messages, not the actual number of messages. So of course it's much lower because it's been repeated. Some of them are actually in the code about 200 times. And I forgot to start that, right?
No, it's fine.
It's fine? Okay, you can unmute it from far away. Good. Whatever. So if you want to take a look at that, so I've just made a quick review. If you want yourself to take a look at that and feel like myself, you can go in the code, PHP repository, and look into the code for those at least 4 functions. Then error, which is the oldest one. I remember manipulating that. There's a number of parameters, but usually there is a literal that you can read. That's interesting. Then through, which is probably throwing exceptions, but it's actually have a then through exception. So I don't know what the first one is throwing. And there's also a then through error through, which is throwing errors. So this is, okay. I'm just kidding, actually. I don't know what they're doing, but I just took a look at them. Here is the top 5 of the one that actually appears in the code. So those are not the one you meet. Okay, which is the one you know? Ooh, no one have errors anywhere. This is impressive, guys.
I have the at for that. Get out.
And there is an error oh no, there is no. So the one we all know is, of course, the last one, which is often. And the other ones are actually very difficult to find. They are completely different from the one you can find in Google's when people are actually distressed and, I don't know what that means. Yeah, those ones we met, right? So there's a complete difference between the one we find in the code and the one we actually end up meeting. Anyway, so the last important, interesting thing is the percentage of exceptions in the code. Okay. So of course, before PHP 5, we had no exceptions, so the percentage was 0. It's kind of no-brainer. And then it's been up on the raise, and especially in 7, there's a large number of old syntax error. We're going to see a few of them that have been turned into exceptions, and the contrary also, but whatever. So in the agenda, what we're going to see, 4 kinds of error messages. The ones that are linked to new features, and probably you're happy with that. Everyone has knowledge of PHP 7, what it's going to do? No?
At least the same as 5, 6. Right?
Yeah, the same of 5C, but yeah, but they just changed the numbers, right? Yeah. That I noted too.
I was just kidding.
Okay, so probably we're going to relate that. I'm not going to do a full rundown on all the features of PHP because none of them are leading to new errors. But the one we'll meet and that will yield some error, I will tell a few things about it. Linting, the one that are disappearing, yes, there are a few messages that are disappearing. Things we don't have to care anymore, great? No, whatever. So new features, new features. Here is probably one of the features we're looking for. So, of course, as you can see, it's raw C code, so the percentage S will be replaced by something else. It's kind of a template, okay? It's kind of a template. Whenever I found that kind of things that is really ugly, I try to have the code and to have an example of what it may look like in reality, because it may be different. Anyway, one of the features of PHP 7 is return type int. Okay, to now, and especially in PHP 5.6, we could put a type int that will tell the compiler that the argument is going to be of that type of class or its siblings. Now we have the same for return type. So we can mark the function or the method to be returning that kind of information. And here there's another information at the same time, which is not only the type may be a class, but it may be also a scalar or a simple type here. So here we're expecting X to be returning an array. And if we're not returning an array, then this is going to yell. Simple enough. You're going to meet that a lot. This is going to be a lot. This is very easy to explain, right? We're now saying, okay, PHP used to be putting back, well, sending back anything it wants. It may be different types, different values, small, big, whatever. Now we have a way to say what I expect from this function, from this method, is from this type. And it cannot be something else. Especially the old way of returning nothing when you find something that's wrong in the method. That is the usual practice, right? Common practice. I get the argument, I check them, and as soon as I can say, oh, this is wrong, I cannot process, then I return. I'm going to shut down the rest of the code. Classic, right? Yeah, I like when you say, yeah, I feel like I'm saying something intelligent. Okay, you can also use exception, but this is probably going to push us toward exceptions, because here, if at some point, well, I of course make the function really small so it fits on the screen, but if you're shutting the method at some point, you have to return something that is consistent. So here we are expecting an array, so it will be at least an empty array, or an array with something that tells it's an error, and then we send the exception.
Can you still do this with void functions?
Void?
Void is
There is no void in void in PHP.
okay.
They actually booked, they reserved the type mixed, but I think it's for the documentation, so it's no use at the moment. But it's reserved.
So you cannot say that this function will not return anything.
It will return at some point.
Could you repeat the question?
Okay, sorry.
For the audio.
Okay, I'll do that next time. You can no. I hope the function is going to return at some point, because otherwise you will get.
To say that the function will not return
No.
something.
Just drop it.
Typical procedure.
Just drop it. No return. Oh, null. That's a good question. Yeah, null is a valid.
Null is a type.
Oh, Boolean.
Use it if it's specified.
Sorry.
You can't use null if it's specified. You can do that in other languages, but if you say it will return an array, you cannot not return.
You cannot return null. That's it.
But can you type hint that it should return null?
Just leave it out.
Yeah, just leave it out. So when it's a type, you have to return that type. If you want to return anything else, including null, then you have to drop it and keep the code as before. Okay? So I kind of expect that to be easy to understand and a lot harder to apply. At least it's going to change a large amount of code. Okay? Of course, this is going to be a problem on the exit of the function. This is all going to be the same kind of circus going inside. But that's going to be easier because people are going to depend on your code and not the contrary. So you can expect that. So here, the argument, the nice thing is, especially compared to older PHP error messages, that now we know where it's calling and we know what it is calling. Okay, you can see the argument number D, so you know which of the 12 arguments you're passing is actually wrong, and you know why it's wrong, and you know the definition of the function. That's going to be less work. At least.
Does this make PHP 7 slower because of all these?
Not much. No, I mean using it, yeah, not at all.
PHP 7 is even faster.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot faster on other, but yeah.
But maybe if you left it out, it would be even faster.
Yeah, probably.
Probably the point.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. Doesn't make much of a difference actually. If you put yourself if is a relator, then you're going to eat up the whatever advantage you get by using the type-ins. Okay, I think this one also is going to be a big hit, and we're going to see that bloom all over internet. Yeah, why not?
You can also speed things up because it is doing JIT compilation. There's only one type. There doesn't need to be a polymorphism, and so some functions can be inline, and that will be much faster.
Possibly. Static analysis in general, optimizers will probably benefit from that kind of things. So knowing what you can expect and knowing what you can input will help. Okay, still with the thing we talked about being strict. This is going to be wrong. Okay, and that's probably kind of weird. Why? Because we expect A to be a float, but we give it a default value of a string. And basically, PHP will not accept that kind of things, except it will accept int for floats. Yeah, it's kind of difficult to imagine, but seems kind of work, but whatever. So this is going to be wrong, which is weird because if you get values from get, post, whatever those super globals, and you feed that into a function that expects a float, no way, that's going to yell. Okay? Trans typing is usually automatic. Type juggling is completely automatic with PHP. And now that we put those everywhere, then it's going to be unhappy. And it's going to tell us. Okay? So, as I said, for int, that will be work. This is probably the only solution you have. Now, this is another funny one. What can that be? I thought about putting it into cryptic. But no, it's actually there. Temporary expressions. This is something, and you tell me, be honest, right? Who's been using that kind of code? I see people smiling, so one. Okay, someone said no, so it's good. Who the hell is using that? Okay, this is actually an evolution. What kind of side edge code that happens? But we could actually do that since PHP 5.5, which is directly accessing a part of a literal value. It may be a string, it may be actually an array. So literal value you have inputted in the code. That's not compiled, but that is not calculated, but compiled initially. And access one of the value to extract it. Okay? So you can actually extract a long value, a long string, and get one of the value. I still think it's overkill. I mean, why put so much code while you just get the B and put it wherever you want, right? But the thing is, before that, in PHP 5.6, this would lead to a parse error. In PHP 5.7, now we have a nice error reporting with an exception. So it's one of the evolution. There are a number of things that were not possible before that are now caught or can be caught by exceptions. So you'll probably have a lot more to work on your try-catch than we used to have. Okay, 5.6, it's an error, it's a parse error, and now it's an exception that can be handled. I sure hope no one is going to use that. I will fine you. Okay, of course, on the other hand, you can still use that, okay? The temporary expression is only the fact that the foo on the previous code was not actually referenced in memory, okay? It was handled by PHP, but it doesn't really have, it is not a reference or a variable, so it cannot do any change in it. It's a literal hard-coded. Now, if you put it in a variable, it's something that's live, you can change it, and you can do as we used to do. Okay, so this is good, the previous one is bad, but you can quote it. And probably hunt down the programmer who did that. Anyway. Another funny thing which actually requires a little thinking is this one. So we're still in the return type thing. And the return type actually have 2 or 3 special values. Just like actually we used to the type int system, we could use special keyword self of parent. Anyone aware of that? No? A little bit? Okay, type in usually is the thing that you put, Okay, type in here, I mentioned that the function x is going to return a class whose type is the parent. Now, I'm trying to illustrate the current error message, so of course this is going to yield the error message. The right code is this one. I have a class who's extending another class, and inside the first class, the foo class, I have a method that's returning an object which is the parent. Okay? And actually, I'm returning something that's foo. So I expect my function x to return a parent. The parent is bar, and I can actually return anything that is below bar. Below bar is usually something you don't want to look at. This I have to change actually. I will switch bar and foo. Okay, so don't look there. Okay, but you're mentioning that this method x is going to return something that is a children of the parent thing, and that will work. So you can actually return foo, which is children of bar. If we had a foo2, which would be completely separated, but in the same tree of class, underbar, that will work too. Okay? Usually you have to think about parents as anything that is above. Okay? When you have a method in the class and you say, okay, I call the parent constructor, the parent could be on the parent class, the grandparent class, somewhere up to Adam and Eve, right? Here, this is the contrary. When you return type, you have to take the parent and look down. Everything that is under is good. Everything that is upper will yield again the same error, and that's the third one.
So at the same time, you can't restrict.
No, you can't restrict to the top.
To the top. No.
So here I say I want to return a parent. The parent is actually bar, but I return baz, and baz is the grandparent.
But you can, of course, directly
I can mention baz, and that will work. And I can also try to call my class parent, and that's going to be bad. And you can also try to use the famous grandparent keyword, and that won't work neither. Okay, so just be sure. Anyway, self and parent is nice because you can. It's a way to do relative things. Okay, you can actually change the name of the parent, but still use parent, and there's no big deal with that. That's good. Self is the same. You could call the function whatever you want, move it to something else. If you make reference to self, that will always be the same function, the same class. So this prevents you from changing all the names of the references inside the class, especially when you're trying to reach constants, static properties, static methods. Use self, and that will change directly.
If I use self inside a trait, it's going to respect the class.
Yeah. I don't know about traits, but that should, that's going to be included in the class, and it will go up it will respect the class.
When we use it, that's the good part.
Yeah, you could use then the same trait in two different classes and reference two different static. That's exactly a good example. Okay, do not try to use static. That will yield a parse error. So self is good for the current class. Parent is good for the one above and presenting the one below. And static just won't work. Okay, so you don't have the same problem with between static and self as we usually have in the code. Last with the return type is there are a few functions, methods, let's say, a few methods that do not accept return type. Okay, this is probably an evolution of the fact that those are usually do not require any return. Who's returning things from their constructor? Well, PHP itself used to do that, like file info, it would return something, and that would probably end up as null if it was wrong. Okay, so that was really strange. And PHP 7, it's over. If the constructor fails, we get an exception and no object. Good. At least it has been made consistent across the code. Now here, we cannot still return anything, and if you try to have a return value, then it's also going to be unhappy. Constructor is good. Destructor, of course, there is no return value. Clone also will yield. And the one that's probably going to bite you is the old type constructor, PHP 4 constructor. Who's using that? Now everyone is afraid, right? No, okay, everyone is using that. I mean, I've 800 different open source projects on my computer there at the moment. All of them are using at least a few of them. Okay, that's old thing, okay, especially libraries they depend on for zipping, for PDF, for templating. There's always a few of them that will be yelling. And they cannot change it because they've been updating those internal libraries, so they still have that. Doesn't seem quite a lot of work, but that happens a lot, okay? So that's a big evolution, and PHP is going to be really unhappy whenever you call a method the same name as the class. It's going to mistake the two of them all the time. And so avoid giving names, the same name to a method than to your class. That should be easy. That should be easy, yeah. Yeah. But that yells, especially if you have old code. Another new thing in PHP 7 is an extra escape sequence. So you already know the escape sequence we have, which represents some odds to fill in characters that we can put into strings, like /n, /r, /f, /0, things like that. Okay. Here we try to have it Unicode. So Unicode, we have the number here, which is in hexadecimal, 2 characters, and PHP will understand the /u, curly break, braces, whatever is inside that can be turned into a Unicode sequence, and then the final curly brace. Okay, and that works pretty well. That's only for the literals. That is not going to work for anything else. So if you do a concatenation here, you will end up with the /u and curly brace and your value inside. Also, if you put single quotes, you get the exact value. Okay, anyone is using that kind of structure in whatever they are doing for application? Maybe some regex might yell, things like that, but at least it's very different. I've also made a little collection of other ways you have to actually dynamically generate the Unicode character. Okay, so this will probably impact. PHP will now be strict and look inside. Anytime it finds /u and curly bracing, opening curly bracing, it will be unhappy and yell the parse error. Okay, so unless you're really playing with characters like that, then you're safe. Otherwise, there will be something. It will try to actually find the Unicode inside and yell something about a code point. I have no idea what the hell is a code point, but it's apparently really bad. There are a lot of ways of doing that, including the ugly eval, but it's actually one of the fastest. So I have to change my mind. I think the best is probably the JSON decode, strangely enough. And don't use HTML entity decode, it's bad. It's slow, okay? So good for literals if you want to write Chinese like that.
Use eval.
Yeah, use eval. Poor Chinese.
If we ask user input and some user
No.
that's in text fields and it is saved and it's presented.
If you're manipulating as a variable, it won't be a problem. Okay, the sequences are important whenever you have it hard-coded in the code. So if you have for example, imagine that you have a translation array, like it used to be translation array with the English as a key and the Chinese on the other side, then you will probably have a problem. At least you have to review everything there. Okay. The advantage here is supposed to be you only have numbers and things that are ASCII, so it's supposed to be more. How to say that? It won't be mangled. There's no encoding problem. Okay. And it still yields some Unicode for you, but that's it. I don't expect, well, the /u accolade may be surprising, but it shouldn't be too often. Shouldn't be too often, especially if people are using those alternatives to manipulate dynamically.
Can the source code itself be UTF-8? So you can
We'll see that later. I'll keep that on. We'll see that later.
6, that's possible.
Yeah. Libins. So another part of the, done with the new features, new linting. What is the linting part of PHP? Yeah, it's the part where it turns the big blob of text that is supposed to be your script into a list of tokens that it can actually run. Okay, and at that point, PHP is able to do a number of checks. It wasn't really interested in doing that before, and now he's doing a lot more than that. Once he has the token, he usually gives them to some opcode optimizer, or you just run them, and then you have your result. Okay? But PHP Linting is the moment where you run the script and turn it into something that can run, and this is where it tells you that there is a parse error. Anything you can have there is good. The other phase where PHP will yield errors is execution time, which is way later, especially when you have pushed your script after unit test to production. This is the moment you really don't want the test to be done, right? Anyway, so PHP is doing a lot of help, and especially you have nice messages like that. So you cannot officially call a constant class. There's a 2-line message that's telling you that you cannot do that. Isn't that great? Who tried that? I mean, I speak French, so I like it. I put a E, and that's the same word. I'm sure you put a K, and that works too, right? Yeah. But now we have a two-line code, a two-line error message that says, it used to be a parse error. So again, this is the evolution. That kind of thing is now catched, and you can process it, and hopefully you can avoid it later. Now, if you really want to have fun, you remove the class, and you get back the old parse error. In both cases, anyway, calling a class a constant a class, I mean, again, just like the original message, please don't go there or find the developer and explain some things. But this is still there. I mean, unless someone is listening to me tonight and maybe they will fix it. So I will probably be looking fool like in PHP world, but whatever. Another one that's dynamical. And now it used to be a fatal error. You cannot dynamically ask for a class full name using this operator. Okay, let's try again. Who's used to have the $colon class as a syntax? 1, 2, well, of course. What else? 3, 4, okay. This is when you want to know the actual full name, full qualified name, the full path. Namespace path, this is it. You want to do full namespace path of the class, okay? So if you're inside the class, you use the constants, the magical constant, underscore underscore class. But there, you want to have the full namespace of something else. So you get whatever you have, and you put class at the end. And it will give you the full name, then you can do a new unit. Very convenient to look for things across the whole galaxy of classes you have, right? But you can't do that dynamically, so it has to be hard-coded. And of course, if it's hard-coded, then you can solve it yourself and avoid PHP doing that. Again, before this used to be a parse error. Now it's something that it can be caught. Okay, but I don't know what you're doing with that. Another one that is always fun, and I've been laughing so hard. Now, how many of us? Like 40? So there should be one guy in the room who's doing that. You're not going to go away before I know who's doing that. It works. It works. You can call all the parameters the same name, call it, and that works. What is it going to do? Who has a suggestion? What is it going to print? The last one. Hopefully. What else?
Probably the middle one.
It could be the middle one, or it could be the first one, right? It could be one of the three, right?
Always the worst case.
Yeah, the worst case. So it's going to put the last one. Yeah, PHP is going to be really nice. And it's going to say, okay, 1, okay, where do I put? Oh, here, place A. And then 2, oh, there is a place. And 3, oh, yeah, there is a place. And, okay.
Depends if you have a little or big endian system.
But I do remember people doing some compression, you know, when the zip was too much and was going beyond the floppy disk. If anyone knows that, then they would, eject the floppy disk and put it back. It worked. I mean, they would write the next segment on the floppy disk, and then they would, fax it or something like that. You cannot do that anymore. Okay, 1% of open source projects have that kind of code in it. I got a number of stupid answers. Oh, this is test code. This is something we have done, and we don't use that code anymore. And it was not me left. Or
Was that 1% in number of projects or in number of users?
no, number of projects. I didn't run any Git blame. I guess. I should have a list of names. Hey, you're there.
It's all the same person, probably.
Yeah. Oh, probably. Yeah. Lots of commits, but not. Anyway. So sorry for that. But so now PHP is going to tell you that. It's going also to be very happy telling you that you have several defaults in a switch. And that's funny, but that also happens. That happens. And that works. I mean, you could use several defaults, and the first one will be caught, and the rest will not be run. That's all. Okay? PHP unit is actually using a number of situations where the case, like for the default case, is after everything. So like case help, if you put the comments, then the case help will be after the default because it's actually the default behavior. So it's there, it's explicitly presented, but
That's the break, right?
there, well, yeah, of course, it's a fall through, of course. Anyway, so 2 breaks, okay. Sadly enough, it doesn't really chase on people not putting default. That could be nice also. And it's not also going to fight us against using several times the same case with the same value.
That's too bad.
Okay, that's a good one because everything is identical here. And I didn't put any defaults, but that was fun.
I have a question regarding all these exceptions. Will they be of the same parent, so we can easily see, oh, it's this parent, go fix your code?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really
There is a top exception, which is not exception. It's another one. And suddenly you remember. But yeah, the exception tree is a lot bigger than it used to be, and it can go up exception. Exceptions are supposed to be userland exceptions, and there are others like reports, error, which are internal for PHP, and that we could also parse. I mean, we can also catch. So yes, but it's not the old one, so you have to review that. Okay. Anyway, this is linting, and talking about exceptions, you don't have to make exceptions come from exceptions. So I actually tried that, something very easy, and there is a throwable interface. The throwable interface is the default system that checks. So I thought this is.
It's a bit ironic that you can't implement throwable. It's reserved.
Yeah.
You can only extend from an exception.
Yeah.
It's a bit ironic.
So I tried something like that, and I wanted to illustrate this message, right? So there, if you say, okay, I just throw anything, and then it tells you that you need a throwable object. So I got a throwable object, which actually kind of complex. And it's a pretty lengthy one, but you've got a lot of detail, especially file, line, and the toString. So it's kind of nice to have. And I got an extra message. You tried, right?
Yes.
Well, we have an interface. Why can't I just build whatever object I want and throw it and get it? No. You have to make it compatible with throwable and also extend exception, so it doesn't change much. Doesn't change much. That was a fun one.
And is there any reason why then?
I don't know. I haven't checked. It's in the doc, which is actually how I found it. I didn't think it was really interesting because it seemed to be kind of obvious, but no, you need to really have it from the exceptions. So that doesn't change from before. You can cache others above, but the lower one and the one you threw are something that is still in a special namespace. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, the one you won't see anymore. Okay. Can anyone tell me what kind of fatal error you're going to get on this one? So, yeah, is not an answer. What?
The Hebrew one?
Hebrew?
No?
No, double semicolon there? No. So what is PHP going to tell you? What's the problem? At least can you tell me what's the problem here?
Already declared T.
Yeah, so apparently we cannot declare at the same time interface, trait, and class because with the same name, the same namespace. Okay? That's standard. Actually, internally, PHP doesn't make any difference between a trait, a class, and an interface. But the actual message you're going to get now is this one. Yeah, everything is a class, so we just get a feedback saying, okay, it's a class, you cannot redeclare T. And if you haven't declared T, but you have T for an interface and a trait, which is not very clever, but who cares, then you're going to look for a long time, what the hell is this T class? Because you have no T class at all. Okay, this has been removed. Now it will actually tell you that the trait T cannot be used because it's already used. Well, the name is already used. So it will find the second one, that is the second one that is actually declared, and it tell you, no, it's already used, so you have to go back and change this one. Put it in another.
Tell you previously declared.
No, I think I got that from the command line, so I don't think there is explanation on where it is already declared. But at least it will tell you that you cannot declare a T because there is something else declared.
Yeah, it's better. But
It's better. It's better. Now another one that has been plaguing us for years, right? Yes. So call time passed by reference has been removed. Has been removed. I mean the message itself, right? Now it's actually been upgraded to a parse error. Yeah. So if you actually try to put this, you have now a parse error. Oh, did I say something different before? I don't remember. I mean, it's been like 20 slides or something, but yeah, I don't know. They just got rid of that. But at least the message itself is done. It's just parse error. It won't compile, and then you have to fix that first and then go back. So no change. Finally, a few cryptic one. The one are really weird. I will need your help, right? Of course, please try to tell me what the hell it means. Can anyone enlighten me on this one? Now, if you remember, it doesn't make my top 10, my top 5 error message from the beginning of the talk, right? So it's just like used once. The for loop? No. Substring? No.
Random int.
Random hint. This is it. Okay, there's one function. Well, actually, yeah, just one function. But there are two new functions that you should actually know of on PHP 7 is random int, and I put its little brother, which is random byte, which is going to be running, we're giving you some random values. Okay, so this one got extra careful. No scalar typing, maybe, I don't know. Didn't check that. But at least it will also check that the values are in the right order and not switch it on the fly. It will give you cryptographically correct values, so it's really random. It's really random. This should be the root of anything you do that should not be known from the exterior. Try to avoid empty rand, and shuffle, and everything that has been replacing those. Those are the good ones. Random hint will give you integer, someone's following. And random byte is going to give you a byte, no, string. Thank you. Anyways, so this is one of the features you should know, and it's coming with a few value. There is no other error messages because basically you can give it two numbers, get another number. I mean, this is an addition basically. Another one that I really enjoy. Now, obviously, no one is a mathematician in PHP group. No, yeah, obviously, because division it doesn't work with multiplication. Actually, this is the fun part. What? This is really cryptic, right? No, the previous one was cryptic. It's related to cryptology and things like that. But this one is, it's really a division. What kind of division?
Int max would minus 1 would be the answer, but
Int max minus 1? No. Okay, so what do we know? We have a new integer, a new definition, a new constant. We used to have PHP int max, which is the largest number that can be handled on this PHP structure. Okay, and now we have PHP int min, which is the smallest integer. Makes sense. Are they the same? Well, and too many buts. So this is the max on my machine. Yeah. Top notch. And this is the other one. What is the difference? No, more than one. I mean, obviously it's larger, right? So yeah. As usual with the math, we have the 0, which is bothering us. Okay, so actually they have the absolute value of the mean is larger by 1. This is what you wanted to say, right?
Well,
Yeah.
If it wraps, it's also a difference of 1.
So the absolute value, the one, everything without the minus, is larger. Those of the minimum is larger than the max. So if you make a division by -1, which is actually a multiplication by -1, then you will end up in something that PHP cannot represent anymore, and it will turn the value into a real. Just, you're going to lose too many things, right? Anyway, so this is, well, take advantage of the fun part here. And the other things that you have to learn, so beside this number, so if you want to check a number is still handled by PHP, then you have to check with this content. And the other thing is, it doesn't change anything with your current operator. It's only because there is a new, it's another one. There's a new division, which is integer division. What is the integer division? Anyone has old memories of math? No? Okay, usually when you do the division, you end up with a real number, unless one is exactly the multiplication of the other one, right? Here, the integer division will actually find this quotient. The other part is mod. When you have the remaining of the division, A by B, and you have the remaining, well, here you have the factor. So this is the integer division, okay? And this one will indeed be able to turn a big number into something that is actually wrong. So we get that. And it's actually hard-coded. I mean, they have to check that one side is the PHP minus int min, and the other side is -1. It doesn't work in any other situation. But at least if you're a mathematician, no, this is still right. Okay, cryptic ones. I don't know. I actually didn't know what was WebP, but it's a new image format. It's been there for 5 years or something. It's now integrated into GD, and at some point they actually gather some feedback from the GD library, and they don't know what to do, so they just give us an exception. I have no idea what we're going to do with that, but there are a few of them like that. This is a classic thing, okay? You don't know what to do with the feedback, which is already strange, and just send back up the later, right? But and this one is fun. This one is fun, but I also it's difficult to understand actually. What is the problem? What is the problem here? Okay, I need more than just one syllabus. So, why is get a problem?
We're returning without a function.
Yeah, get is an array, so it exists, right? But here we're using it with the syntax of a function. Okay, that's a really newbie's problem. And the thing is, PHP is trying to get the array, but then at that point it has one solution, which is, okay, turn the array into a string and then execute the string. Or it detects it's actually an object, it's an array, and it tells you that it's not a string. Okay? And it may be a long time before you actually realize that. Anyway, this is a cryptic one. It's difficult to understand. It's actually very often, there are a number of situations when we realize that the value is checked for being something, and if it's not a string, then you will get that. So it's probably a dynamical feature of some kind that you have to look for. And the line number is going to be good, so at least you have some clues. Anyway, next one. We were talking about encoding, right? Yeah, it's coming. But this one is quite straightforward. Actually, yeah, probably I should get rid of that slide. It's no big deal, right? Okay, next one. This is consistent also, right? Yeah, right. No problem with that. So the problem is now when we have two of them. So yes, there are two instructions that really wants to be the first one. And as everyone knows, there can be only one. Which one is going to be the strongest? The namespace or the encoding? Come on, fight. We want to see that. I mean, maybe they will stand, fireballs or something. So who's going to win?
Will there be a turbo with this strict type?
No. Apparently there is nothing about the third one, but we can try. We can try to sneak a few things inside. Yeah, third first one. No, I didn't. I don't know. I don't even know how I ended up with the two of them being so close. I don't even know how I ran into the both of them in the code. That's a good question, actually. Anyway, who's going to win? Encoding or namespacing? Encoding. Yeah, of course. So the encoding has to be first. And this is where you have to look for enable Zen multibyte. So first, the declare, which is supposed to be the first one, has also to be done when you have Zen multibyte. And then multibyte allows you to run PHP script into various encodings, including the old ISO or UTF-8 or GB5 or whatever.
Do you have to do that?
So this is for declaring the encoding file by file. Okay, so you can have your whole application into one encoding, and suddenly you want to support Vietnamese. I'm not going to use Chinese again, right? So, or medieval Tibetan. That happens more often than you think. Okay, some people have been chewing on that, right? So then you can use that kind of things. Okay, and the namespace is second because the namespace is itself encoded. Is that good?
If you want to have a French namespace.
Hmm?
If you want to have a French namespace.
Why not? Why not? Actually, it's very fun to see ideograms in the code because actually the ideogram will rely on the AS key, at least when we tried that a few years before, and so the ideograms could be accepted or not depending on if the character it broke down into could be accepted or not as PHP. So it's supposed to be from, I don't know, A to Z and the uppercase, and then beyond 128. So if you end up with the whole character between in these intervals, it could work. The next character could be out of or partially out of the interval, and it says no. And using pinyin is just no, don't try. Anyway.
And would this work for only the file you declared in, or for included files after as well?
No, it's only one file.
Per file.
Yeah, it's per file.
So no includes, if you were to include them,
the including.
yeah, like not using an autoloader but doing old school include, would it still work?
No, I think it's file by file. I have to check.
Where you declare it and where you use it, right?
So it's not
Both have to
runtime,
be the
it's
same encoding.
I'm not sure.
I
I don't
I
know.
was thinking about a throw new table flip character, so
I don't know. Do the include has to be consistent with the previous one? That could be fun. Yeah, could be fun. I don't know. I have no idea. The thing I discovered is if you apply a no scream like Dennis does on Holy's code, if you apply a no scream on an include, then the no scream will actually be applied to the whole script included, which is why people do actually put that there. Yeah, you didn't try that? That's going to save you so many strokes.
I tried that, but I didn't know it. I typed way too many ads.
Yeah, it's a reflex now. It's a reflex.
Yeah.
Okay, a nice Easter egg also. That was an actual, yeah. So if you write that kind of things, then you probably were doing something wrong. It's gone. It's gone. Sadly enough, it's gone. It's gone. Anyway, finishing, wrapping. Oh yeah. So this was fun. This is actually very fun to learn about PHP features by just looking at the error messages. And actually, if you think about it, you could do the same on your own code. What kind of errors are you emitting? So yeah, there is a no scream extension also, which renders this operator completely useless. So be careful. Yeah. So you could actually take a look at a number of situations that ends the script in your code and look for literal in there, because usually die will get a literal. Exceptions also get a literal, like through new exception, and then there is a message in there. You can also have a number of special API. If you're using WordPress, then there is the VPDI, and if you have your own called display or whatever, then you can maybe take a look at those and see there. I call that an inventory. It's always fun to take a look at that. And I would like to finish on this because I run it on one of my 800 open source projects. I will not give you any name because people are probably hiding somewhere far. But can you guess what the hell this application is doing? This is the feedback you could get. And I, of course, give you a little average of them, but there were like 86 of them. Can you guess what this application is doing? Why do we get feedback with dies and we don't understand what the hell they're doing?
Looks like just another web application.
Yeah, it's another one. It's another one. This is open source. You can take a look at that. You can actually just find the die and look for them. I'm pretty sure you end up with the code. What would you find if you run that on your own code? Then, wow, you got it. This is it.
I just saw the ZC
Oh.
install in there.
Okay. I'll have that. I'll have that better next time. Okay, so we had fun with PHP. We learned a little bit, and we can get prepared for PHP 7 by looking at the error messages. It could be also interesting as an introspection tool. Look at your own error messages, if you have any. What kind of exceptions you're throwing? What are the literals you have when you die? We made fun of WebP realloc failed. What the hell is that? Well, I would not add, what the hell is that? The poor user is going to end up with that message on a full white page and no HTML. Good. I don't know. There. I leave it at that, and thank you. Thank you very much. It's a real picture I took myself, but I couldn't put the elephant. They got me before. That was last year. Yeah. Time to put the kids in bed.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Do you use any tools to analyze your error messages and stuff, or just write a script yourself?
Which one? The one in PHP or the one in...
No, for instance, to figure out your own code.
In my own code, no. I'm doing static analysis.
Or other ones' code.
So I'm doing static analysis. So I have my own list of tools. Okay, and that's the Exacat engine I'm working on, which is online on the website, and it's open source. I don't have any inventories yet in it. So in the report, there is no list of anything, including this. But I think I will start putting a few of them there. Because just that kind of thing is interesting, just to look at that and say, oh, what the hell, what kind of feedback do I look at? I mean, what are my users are going to look at? Mostly in PHP, they are really nice and you understand the situation. It took me a while often to generate the exact situation that yield the specific problems that you've seen. All of them have been checked. I also realized that they backported a number of them, so that kind of ruined half my sessions. But that's kind of clear. At least it helps me, focus on the line that needs some feedback. And if I don't remember, I don't understand the message, then at least I know where to look at, and usually say, oh yeah, it's obvious, and I clean.
Any more questions? Can be during drinks, of course.
Okay.
I have a remark or something. I don't know. I think the new messages are actually quite a nice addition to people who are new to the language.
Yeah.
More descriptive. And,
usually a lot more descriptive. Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Especially they give you more context, so that should send good messages. The classic one we've seen, like max execution time, out of memory, and undefined function, no, they're not changed.
No.
Sadly. Yeah. Didn't understand that function, but I use this one.
Yeah.
That could be fun.
very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Damien. Please do give feedback, like I have already said multiple times. This slide will be coming through later on tonight, so you can look back to it. But I think it's very valuable. Definitely, since you're going to a conference, it's good to be prepared.